So you see, what people do nowadays is to put a bit of video before the titles. Hello everyone, it's Pete here. Now, it's Friday evening, the weather's terrible, there's been no RCing happening this week. So what I thought I would do is that I remembered that months and months ago Mark Bryan tagged me, which meant that I was supposed to talk about things that I do outside of RCing, and I thought, well, I can't be bothered to do all of them because I would just take too long and I can't be bothered. So what I thought I would do is do the one about beer. It's Friday, so cheers to the beer. So what I would say about beer is, other than thinking about RC cars, it's the main thing I'm looking forward to for the weekend. And at the moment, it's a fantastic time to be a beer drinker in the UK. What's happened in sort of recent-ish years is there's been an explosion in micropubs and microbreweries, and I've gone from a situation at my house where we couldn't get a decent pint that we, anywhere that we could walk to a situation where there's several little bars, and I could probably get my hands on, maybe 20, 30 different sorts of beers. And if you added a short bus ride to that, probably 100 beers, I don't know. So it's a fantastic time. But just to take you back a little bit, when I first started drinking, when I was sort of 17, I started going to the pub with my friends. I was drinking then. I was drinking cider initially, because I think when you're a young person, you like all that sweet taste, don't you? And then I sort of progressed on to snakebite, which is cider with lager mixed in. So you mix the two together, and you might even put blackcurrant in, because you're basically a child and you want sweet things. And then I think I was probably about 20, somebody introduced me to real ale, and at the time that meant a sort of brown coloured beer on a hand pump, because it's in a cask, which means the barrel's not pressurised, so it's just got its own CO2. And I was taken with that, and at the time it wasn't necessarily a very fashionable thing to drink. The advertisers did a very good job of making young people believe that what they should be drinking is lager. There's nothing wrong with lager, but bitter and real ale has got a lot more taste, so I ignored the advertisers and went with my taste buds, and I became a real ale fan. Actually, one thing I should say before I say anything else about beer is I've made a microphone stand out of a wibbly wobbly aerial. Do you like that, Mark Bryan? Oh, I bet you like that. Ooh, look. Oh, hang on. Okay, one myth I'd like to dispel is a lot of Americans, I've been to America a few times, and we talk about beer, and they say to me, of course you guys drink warm beer. Now, I don't know where this has ever come from. We don't drink warm beer, but real ale is supposed to be somewhere in the range of about 10 to 14 degrees C. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. Maybe look it up, but it's the temperature of the cellar. So regardless of the temperature on the ground, the cellar should be sort of between 10 and 14. So it's cooler than room temperature. It's not icy cold like your Budweiser or your lagers you would have cold. An IPA beer you'd have cold, but a sort of brown kind of bitter beer you'd have at that kind of in between temperature. So it shouldn't be room temperature, definitely, but as I say, it shouldn't be icy cold, so you can get the best of the flavours. Okay, so the beer that I'm drinking at the moment is from a microbrewery in Christchurch in Dorset in England. Now, it might look a bit strange because it's cloudy and there's not much of a head on it. Well, there's not any head on it at the moment. It's not flat. It has got CO2. It's just got the naturally occurring CO2, but it's not supposed to be a fizzy drink. And it's cloudy, not because it's gone off, but in recent years they've sort of realised that a lot of the flavours are tied up in the hops and all the stuff that's in the liquid, and for a lot of years I think it was seen as if it was cloudy it was off, and sometimes that did mean it had gone off because the bacteria got in, but it's been recognised now that a lot of the flavours in that cloudiness that is there from when they make the beer, so it is supposed to be cloudy, and they call it unfined because when they fine a beer, they put in sort of, I think it's like fish guts or something, and it drops all the sediment down to the bottom. You get a nice clear beer, which looks attractive, but you've taken a lot of the flavour with it. So, what we're talking about is an unfined beer. So the Drop the Anchor Brewery in Christchurch, it's in a funny place really. It's sort of an indoor market, which used to be a factory. It's now, I don't know, there's sort of odds and sods and stalls there. And then upstairs there's a little room, and there's a little microbrewery up there. So I go there every week, and I get a container. He does containers, which is like a wine box, but with beer in, and you can get different sizes. And I get the size, which is near enough 10 pints, about 5 and a bit litres. And I went there a little while ago and took some video, because I was going to do the video ages ago. But anyway, let's have a little look at how I got on.
We're on. Oh, Neil.
Hello there, how are you, Peter?
Yes, just fine, thank you. So, what new beers you got this week then?
This week we're testing out the Wylie Why Not, which
Yeah.
is a New Zealand hopped IPA, 4.5%. I know.
Try again. What is it again?
Why Me, Why Not? A New Zealand IPA.
Yes. Okay. Cool.
We've got the Tropical Punch, which we were testing last week.
Oh, that was really good last week. Yeah.
And this week as well, I think we've got a different version of the Raspberry IPA, which is very fruity.
That's interesting. Okay. I think I'll have 10 pints of Why Me, Why Not.
10 pints of Why Me, Why Not coming up, sir. Thank you very much.
Want to smile at the camera? It looks like, from this angle, it looks like you're having a wee.
Yes, there I was. This week I've got Tucktonia, which is one of the beers they do down there. Very nice, sort of hoppy, fruity kind of pale ale. It's interesting that these days a lot of the flavours that we're getting with the beers and the pales and everything has come from America. They got into the sort of craft ale thing, and they have got hops that we can't seem to produce in this country. These real bitter kind of fruity hops, and so we've got to be grateful to them for introducing a lot of new flavours into brewing, because we tended to have the sort of brown beers and we were good at that. We were sort of more in days gone by we were much more into real ale, I think, than the Americans were, but they've really got into it, and now there's so many flavours you can get, and if you haven't tried them, then I got some recommendations. Okay, so I'm going to say about what's available in the UK. I'm not sure what's available worldwide, but I like these pale ales, these very hoppy kind of fruity beers. There's an excellent one available in tins in the UK called Life and Death. It's by Vocation Brewery, available in all the supermarkets, I think, and better if you get it 2 boxes of 4 in Tesco. Also, it's not such a cloudy drink, but it's bottle conditioned, is Proper Job, very hoppy sort of IPA beer. If you're sort of used to lager, then give that a go and see if you like that kind of bitter taste. And if you don't like it straight away, keep drinking it until you do. Okay, and the cousin of Proper Job is Proper Black, which is a sort of stouter black stout, but it's got the hops in it of Proper Job. That's just adds that extra taste to the stout kind of beer. So the Americans gave us all these wonderful new fruity bitter hops, but I don't think they were always into it. I remember when I was on holiday in the States in the 90s, it's probably early 90s, I struggled to find anything decent to drink. I mean, I remember going to the the Budweiser factory, the Anheuser-Busch factory in Florida, and they were saying about these amazing ingredients they use, and I was thinking, well, how have they used all these amazing ingredients and produced such a crappy beer? But it just tended to be that lagery sort of beer, and there was Michelob and Miller, and it all tasted pretty much the same, and they all served it very icy cold. And also, if you didn't have any ID, you couldn't get any of it. When I went to the States more in the 2000s and the 2010s, they seem to have got into craft beer a bit more, so you could get your IPAs, and all of a sudden they had these very strong, very flavourful, very bitter drinks, and yeah, it was excellent. So what I would say is, if you've been drinking the same old lager for years on end and you haven't tried any different beers, and you've got micro pubs and micro breweries near you, then go and give them a try. They're always happy to give you little tasters. So yeah, you might find something you like, and it might change your life, or it might just get you drunk. So I might get round eventually to doing the other subjects I was going to do on the I've Been Tagged thing. I think I have more than 3 anyway. I was going to say something about comedy, like comedy, just, all the comedy. And I was going to say something about cats. We have cats instead of human children. I think they're just easier, really. You can go on holiday and just get a neighbour to pop in and feed them, which I don't think you can do with human children. I was also going to say about raving. I'm a bit of a raver at heart, and used to go to a lot of events, not illegal events, but organised proper events. And we still try, even in my 50s, we still try, and we throw all the shapes and everything. So I was going to say a bit about that, and I did do a bit of footage of it's basically me and my mate trying to throw shapes, which is a sad, terrible sight that I may never put on the internet. Now, we could carry on talking about beer for some time, but really I ought to cut it short, because I might get a bit nerdy about the whole thing. So what I'll leave you with is a little montage of me drinking beer at various micropubs in the Bournemouth, Christchurch area. So if you're still here, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.